What does it mean to you to get to have your name on this tournament in a place that's so special to you?
It honestly was a big honor to get the phone call. Zach called, and he and Dr. Peary had kind of created this event, and they asked me if I'd lend my name to it. And the AJGA is a really big deal. They have tournaments all over, and I have other friends that host events. I know I've been to Sergio Garcia's event in Austin, and I thought it'd be pretty cool to have my name on an event, and to give back a little bit to junior golf in Missouri is a big deal to me.
What do you remember about your time in Columbia when you played golf here at the university? What are those memories like for you?
Well, one of the things interesting was Rich Poe was the golf pro at Country Club Missouri. And I hate to say it, but golf wasn't a big priority at the athletic department. And Rich really drove the program to get better personally. So because he was a head pro at a club, he didn't really have time to go recruit outside of the state. So I didn't get recruited to play college golf other than I got invited to be on the Missouri team. And when I got here, our team was modestly good, but we played a great schedule because Rich was such a good guy and he was friends with all the other coaches. And as the 4 years went by, we really got better as a group. And we made the cut both my junior and senior year at NCAA's, finished in the top 15 in the nation, and then the big kind of major event that happened was our senior year, we won the Big 8 championship. And when Oklahoma and Oklahoma State was ranked between first and third in the nation that year, so to knock them off at conference was a pretty satisfying cap off to the end of a college career.
I wanted to ask you about Peter Malnati and Hayden Buckley, the two former Mizzou golfers that just qualified for the U.S. Open. I'm not sure if two Mizzou players have ever played in the same U.S. Open that's happening next week.
I would doubt if that's happened, and it's pretty amazing to see how good kids are, and I look at their scores compared to when we played, and you know, Peter particularly has just had an outstanding PGA Tour career, and he's lasted a long time, which is hard to do. Besides playing way better than me, he's lasted way longer than I did out there on tour, and I know Hayden's a strong player. He won a bunch to get out there, and it's fun to cheer for those guys.
What do you think of the state of Mizzou golf right now? I know they're getting a new co-head coach in here coming up soon, starting this year.
Well, I think it's, you know, Mark has done a great job making it more competitive all the time, and a big part of that is being able to have this facility at Old Hawthorne, because so many other schools that you're recruiting against has facilities that are built just for the golf team, and it makes it easier. And I know Stephanie's done a great job, and it just keeps getting better.
Did you have any questions?
Yeah, just a couple. So you're a coach now, doing things with a bunch of people, and you talked a little bit about how good kids are today. What do you think has changed since you were growing up playing golf compared to the kids today?
I would say that technology has allowed people to measure the truth. And the truth has not changed, but because we can measure it better, I think we coach it more confidently, and I think the kids tend to specialize earlier these days. I still pick the kid that plays 3 sports and gets good at golf. Personally, I think the better athletes got the advantage, but the coaching just gets better and the kids get more focused, and it's crazy that I compare it to the 4-minute mile. I mean, people talk about how far people hit it now, and I don't think people have the capacity to swing faster now than they used to, but they do at an earlier age because they think they're supposed to. And it is an advantage if your ball is closer to the hole on the next shot.
Do you ever plan? Oh, sorry, Dad. Do you have anything?
Oh, go for it, Lee.
So in Columbia, you said you're out in Arizona now, I know, or
My home is in Scottsdale. Yes, I teach at Greyhawk Golf Club, and I travel a fair amount, and I spend the summer teaching at a private club in Colorado. But home is Arizona now.
What makes Columbia feel like home for you?
Well, besides being here when I was in college, this is where my wife and I moved when we got married. Both my kids, Tatum and Jake, were born at the University Hospital, and we didn't leave until 2002, so I have a lot of roots here.
Well, I appreciate the time, Stan, and looking forward to. You're going to be back out here in July?
I'm coming back for a couple days, so I look forward to seeing you guys in.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can we expect when you return?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll, one, just kind of be a face and interact with the kids and make them know that I appreciate that they travel to get here. And I know last year I did a clinic or two for the clubs, and just made myself accessible.
Who's the best golfer you ever coached?
It's interesting that I got a couple angles on that because I've coached Sergio Garcia. He's pretty outstanding. Maybe the most talented player I ever coached was Darren Clark. I can't say his career is the best I've ever coached, but lots of good ones. One of the most impressive humans I've coached is Paul McGinley. But I'm forever indebted to Jay Haas. Jay Haas is the guy that I coached that kind of put me on a different level of kind of the stage that I changed my career path, because Jay did so well with one little tip that that was the motivating factor to have the other pros call me. And it took me about 3 years to figure out I really should quit playing and start teaching full time. But I would say the most amazing thing about my journey as a coach is that every day when they prove more about what really happens, they prove that what Mr. Lanning and Rolla told me was correct. So I know in my heart I'm teaching the truth based on good fundamentals, or I like to call it good math. And so it was such an advantage to learn properly as a kid, which happens to be really different than how lots of other people have learned to learn golf or taught golf. And so it's kind of cool to be really just somebody that's passing on information that happened to be better than some of the other information.
So what was the tip? What was the tip that you gave him that fixed everything?
Well, I would say it was a putting tip, and we could keep it as simple as the rules of golf banned anchoring, which means it's an advantage if the top of the grip doesn't move. And Jay's initial move in the backswing of his shorter putts was the handle would go back as far as the club head. And I say that did not swing, that only carried the whole stick. And when the bottom quits swinging, bad stuff happens. So literally I got him to swing the head back without moving the top, and that put it all back in order. I call that good sequence.
I guess I have one more question. Sorry to keep asking you this, but for Peter and for Hayden at the U.S. Open next week, what advice would you give them? Since I know you've played that tournament before, I'm not sure if you played at Torrey Pines or not, but what advice?
So I haven't played the Open there, but I played there a lot. And I would say the hardest part that those guys have already figured out is just play your game. You don't need to do anything special. There's lots of hoopla. It's easy to put more pressure on yourself, but stay hydrated, stay focused. Don't worry about what the other guys are doing, and try to keep it out of the rough. It'll be a mess.
Awesome.
Just got one more question. So, let's say today's my first day golfing, first day I ever picked up a set of clubs. What would you coach me on?
So the first thing is how you put your hands on the club really matters. And it's kind of, I like to say, the way God sticks your hands off your arms is how much your hands turn in or don't turn in, and I put your hands on there similar to how they would hang down if you just let them hang naturally. And then the next thing I would teach you to do is how to use your wrist properly in golf. I don't know, it's kind of funny how God blesses somebody, but I've gotten an incredible amount of attention through the media lately because I helped Charles Barkley. And Charles Barkley was simply using his wrist incorrectly. And he's such a great athlete, and people have asked me, well, how did you help his mental issues? And I'm like, an athlete that great never has a mental issue. It's a skill issue, and his skill was really bad. And so to give him a tip that allowed him to free his swing up was nothing more than how to use his wrist correctly in the downswing. And it took about a year or two to kind of get rid of all the old baggage that he had stored up over 25 years of swinging bad. But to get somebody to actually move the head of the club with their wrist properly as they pivot is really the first thing that I would teach.
So you started teaching Chuck like he was a first year golfer?
No, he just needed to know the one thing that he needed to work on to put it back, because he used to be a really good golfer. And so I feel like what I told him was the one thing he needed, and then he went and worked on it and he did it. And now he's having a blast playing golf again, and so that makes me happy to see how happy he is.